Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Now today's video is going to be all about what I have planned in the future for the Megane. Now I've owned it since August last year, and since ownership I've covered around 3,000 miles. I am now dailying the car, now that the cup is currently sawn, getting ready for track time this summer. So I've got a good sense of what the car is capable of, what its pitfalls are and what it's not so good at, and what I have planned in order to address that. So let's check it out. Shots over on the outside so I can get dry again, and thought I'd film on the inside without driving as well, because just filming and driving at this time of year is virtually impossible to get good footage, or to get footage to the standard that I want to in previous videos. So hopefully that will come back in the summer or in the spring when the weather dries up a bit. So as I said, I've owned the car since August last year, and during that time I have travelled or used the car for around 3,165.9 miles to be exact. The car is now on 53,300 miles. I've managed to keep it super clean, which I'm happy about, so that's great. But during that time, as good as the R26 is, there are a few things that I feel let it down a bit. Now, I've had plenty of time, I feel, to bond with the car, and yeah, it's a fantastic car. It is brilliant, and I've been fortunate enough recently to go on a few drives with a couple of my mates up to Beachy Head early Sunday mornings when it has been dry, which unfortunately is few and far between at the minute. And yeah, you can't fault this car for being a fantastic hot hatch. For going fast, effortlessly, may I add, then the R26 is brilliant, and I think that's probably down to the tyres as well at the minute. I'm running Michelin Pilot Sport 4s, and they're in really good nick, and they've got loads of tread left on them. So yeah, they were running super low pressures. I've just checked. I actually had 20 psi in each corner, which is shocking, to be honest, and that's partly due to the fact that I didn't check them, and I should have done. So I'm running 32 all round now, and it does feel a little bit sharper, I must say. But even then, at 20 psi, compared to the Cup, it's just poles and poles apart. Like, it's just unbelievable how planted and stable this car feels. But in a sense, I guess that's the point of this video, is it almost becomes a little dull. Now, one of the things that I've learned over the past couple of years is that the likes of Honda, or even naturally aspirated cars as a whole, naturally aspirated hot hatches, they're a lot more exciting, I feel. And when you introduce boost into the mix, it's not quite as raw. And that is something that the R26 suffers from as standard. So at the minute I've got a performance panel filter and a rear back box delete, and it isn't the loudest car in the world. And sometimes when you're driving it, we were actually nailing it up to Beachy Head a couple of weeks ago, and I found that I put the radio on whilst I was doing that, because there isn't enough character that comes through the engine bay, from the exhaust. The Clio's a different story altogether, because obviously that's heavily modified, but the Megane isn't. And as good as it is standard, I can't help but feel that maybe it would be improved or enhanced a little bit by a louder exhaust. So at the minute, as I said, it's got a back box delete, and I'm using the OEM tips, and I actually like the look of the OEM tips on the back of the car. I think they look great, and you know, they sound okay, but other than that, it's fairly quiet. And yeah, sometimes you feel like you want a little bit more noise coming out of the rear, or even at the front as well. So at the minute it's got a mid-box delete, I believe. I've never actually taken it apart to look at it, but I was told by the previous owner that they had sort of cut a hole or something inside the standard box to make it louder on the induction noise, the whistle, and it does sort of, you can hear it sucking air. But I am tempted to replace the breathing mods on this car essentially with aftermarket parts. So perhaps a Scorpion or a Militech exhaust for the rear, and then a K-Tech induction kit instead, like a cone filter, and possibly a front mount intercooler as well. They're all, you know, sort of breathing mod related, I guess, and I guess if anyone on here or watching this video has any idea of what the best modifications are to make the R26 come to life a bit more, then I'm all ears. Inside, I don't really have any plans to modify it, to be honest, as it's a Lux pack and it's got the armrest in the middle and the steering wheel's already been retrimmed. I love it in here. It's really quite a nice place to be. That doesn't mean that it's perfect, and it does rattle and squeak a little bit, which is something that you get with a French hot hatch, but you can forgive it because at the end of the day it's not horrendous. It's just not quite what you would get from perhaps its German counterparts. There is one thing in here though that does need addressing, and that is the shifter. It's not the best in the world. The throw is, you know, it's quite a distance between first and second and so on, and it doesn't feel as precise as I'd want it to. Having driven, you know, Josh's Civic FN2, that thing feels brilliant, whereas this is just slightly vague. Not vague to the point that it's annoying, but just vague that it's, yeah, it's not perfect. So a short shifter might actually help with that. Now, as the car is a fairly low mile example, and at the minute relatively OEM, I don't really want to start replacing loads of bits on it and spoiling that, to be honest. I quite like the fact that it is OEM, so these lighter modifications, exhaust, front mount, intake, they're all fairly, I don't know, reversible if you like. They're nothing definitive. There's not such as cutting rear windows out and putting polycarbs in, or, you know, putting a massive scoop in the bonnet or something. There's nothing that severe. Cosmetically, from the exterior, I want to keep the car completely OEM. Some people even say to remove the badges at the back, the Megane badge, but I'm going to keep it. It is a Megane at the end of the day. I mean, whether you take that off or not, it's not exactly like you're going to be able to hide it. Right, I've just moved so you can see me a bit better. But yeah, I also love the fact that it's got stickers all over it. They look great, I think. They're fantastic, so I don't have any plans in changing that, or anything cosmetically for that matter. I want to keep this car OEM looking as possible, but I do want to refurb all the suspension. So I recently took the wheels off of the car and cleaned the arches, because why not? And I noticed that the rear beam had a lot of corrosion on it, as you would expect for a car of this age. But more importantly, I saw on a R26 Megane owner's page that someone said, I've got £1,000 to spend and my car is on 50,000 miles. What can I do to improve it? And literally everyone unanimously said, refurb all the bushes on the suspension. And I honestly didn't even think about that, because I don't feel there's any play in this. And the guy argued, you know, my car's done 50,000 miles. Why am I going to do that? And literally everyone said the age of the car will do it. So, and I guess it makes sense that OE rubber bushes start to wear. So that is something that I'm going to do to this car. It's fairly clean underneath anyway, so it requires nowhere near the level of restoration or improvement that the Clio would. So yeah, I'm just going to hopefully take the rear beam off of this car, get it powder coated properly, and then get it all put back together with new Powerflex bushes. And I'll probably go for the Road series, so the purple ones, not the black ones that I've used in the Clio, purely because I don't really have much intention on taking this car on track. I'm going to keep it a purely road car and just try and look after it, essentially, make sure that I'm treating it well, keeping it clean, and yeah, just doing the subtle modifications to it that make the car better, not taking away from the fact that as it is a fantastic car. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I have more videos planned soon, and not just this car either. There is a friend of mine who is building a Saxo track car, and yeah, that's nearly complete, so hopefully we'll do a full review on that. And then Josh's Civic as well has had loads of work done to it, so I plan on doing a follow-up video to my video on his car. Is this the worst Type R ever? We'll see. I have a feeling not. But yeah, hope you like the video, subscribe for more, and take care.